is your name, where are you from, and what is the organization that you run?
My name is Dean Carlisle. I'm a South African through and through, and I run lessons in conservation.
How did you get to the point of starting lessons in conservation? Obviously, this is such a long story, but where did you see the need, and why did you choose that direction over what many people do and focus on animals specifically? How did you see the need for community and education?
So I was extremely lucky to have been born and grown up in a conservation-loving family, exposed to animals in a very real and meaningful way. And I went off to university to study a degree in zoology, and it was then that I realized there's a disparity between people who get exposed to nature and people who don't, and their understanding of it. You can never get someone to fall in love with something if they don't understand it and are not exposed to it. And in essence, I then realized very quickly that if we want to protect these beautiful landscapes, we have to make sure the people around them understand their value. And that's in essence where lesson conservation came from. Is we wanted to try to level the playing field and give more kids an opportunity to be exposed to nature in a real and meaningful way than they might have been able to do without us.
Now, obviously, you know the fundraising world, right? It's challenging to find the funding, to be able to do the work that you know is so important. Aside from, talking to donors and trying to find money, which is grueling and difficult and not fun to do, how does a impact safari like this one provide sustainability and knowing where the funds come from, but also at the same time providing experience, I guess, and exposure and connecting people to it? How does a trip like this benefit the work you're doing?
I think it's impossible to measure how it benefits it. I think from one, it provides us as lessons in conservation with a whole lot of confidence to know that other people want to be a part of our work. So that's one metric. And the other one is the work that we do with the children. It also fills them with confidence because they are now being exposed to people from different walks of life who have invested their time, money, and energy into making a difference for them, which is pretty cool. And then from a fundraising point of view, obviously, just by coming on a trip like this with SOSA, it's made a huge difference for lesson conservation. And hopefully the people who join this trip are exposed to the work and go back to their friends and their families and their home places and want to continue to make a difference in whatever way, shape and form that may be, whether it's fundraising or skills or resources or just joining another trip with SOSA and actually Africa.
Now, how does we build out a trip, right? And I think a lot of people definitely lean into the safari aspect, and that's stands out to people as to why they want to come on the trip. But you could see how involved a lot of the guests were and how it kind of impacted them too. It's not, yes, it's impactful for the children going through these programs, but you could see how it's also impacted. Could you see how it's impacting the guests and kind of connecting the dots for them?
Absolutely. I think a lot of people arrive here just expecting to see animals, but they have no idea the impact working with children in these communities is going to have, because they're not just joining a once-off program. This is something that is continuing, and they're not just being a part of it. And I think for a lot of them, it gives them perspective. They've been on a safari now. For some of them, their first safari, they've seen their first elephants, they've seen their first animals, and now they're speaking to kids and realizing just how special that is and how important community in conservation is. Without those people around the parks understanding what's happening within them, we're never going to win this battle. And I think it's really cool to see them like enamoring themselves to the kids and vice versa. And I think those little moments, those little memories where someone shared, a kid ran up and gave them a big hug and like they cried, and it changed their whole perspective because it made them understand that making a difference is much more meaningful than just coming on a normal safari. It's the ability to make a difference at the same time, and I think that's quite special.
Now, in a quick summary, just so that we can overlay this essentially over B-roll of some of the video and stuff that we captured, as quickly as you can, providing some of the importances to some of the stuff that we were doing. Can you run through we partner with schools in these communities, and we went to X school to do this. We went to the classroom, we provide lessons, we have immersive kind of games and activities to really connect the kids. Can you kind of explain some of the things that we did so that the video kind of makes sense to overlaying your explanation?
Absolutely. So the first thing is to make sure we got the right permissions. So we partner with Natural Selection to help with that. They're the lodge, the company who runs the lodge. We make sure that the school is on board with it. Then we're working with grade 7 students who are mostly 11, 12, 13 in this instance. And we arrive and we give them a pre-survey. So that allows us to see what knowledge they have before we start doing the lessons. And then we go into some extremely fun activities. So one of the important ones is teamwork, where we bounce balloons around in the air, or beach balls, to show how you can only bounce once or twice on your own, but in a team you can do much more. We explain food chains by using a hula hoop, where it's passed from one side of the chain to the other, and explaining how the moment you remove a person, that chain is no longer functioning and the energy cannot be passed, and how important that is for the whole systems. We go into the basics of bird identification. They have to run around and find some birds that have been hidden in the venue, and then using bird books, they have to identify it themselves. And I think that's been amazing as well, to see them start shifting the details to which they're viewing the world around them. It's not just a bird now, it's what color does it have, what color is its beak, what shape is its beak. That allows them to identify birds and hopefully identify many other things around them. Then we do the big five, where they have to present to us who and what the big five are. And of course the favorite is the cheetah race, to see who's the fastest animal. We know it's a cheetah, and then in the kids in the group we see which of them is the fastest, and it always leads to lots of fun.
Now, obviously, to wrap it all up, we didn't necessarily go on a safari, but we brought them as close as to where you could see the emotion in some of the kids coming down to that hide and being so nervous going down when they see elephants and being hesitant to come down to the hide. Why is that part of this important? It's not just about lessons, it's actually about getting them out into the field.
Absolutely, I think it's absolutely crucial. Lessons on their own are important, but until you give them that first-hand experience, they're just lessons. And the moment you give them that first-hand experience, it becomes so much more than that. And I think in this particular instance, working in Moriel Moto, a community not too far from Menaquena, the lodge that we were based at, and human-wildlife conflict is still a problem in these areas. It's not as bad as in other areas, but there's still elephant and human interactions, and a lot of the kids view elephants negatively. So it was extremely special to spend some time with them down in the hide, watching elephants, understanding their body language, doing a little bit of tracking, how to track elephants, which direction are they moving, because it shifts their mindset. Because for the first time, for a lot of them, they're viewing elephants in a positive light, without the negative connotations of worrying about their crops. And look, there's loads of solutions that need to be made for that, but what we're trying to do is just get a slow mindset shift towards these animals have a beautiful place in the ecosystem, and we have to do what we can to protect them and conserve them and the places that they call home.
Now, I'm not sure if you've ran a trip quite like this, where you have a bunch of people from all over the world coming together. A lot of people have hesitancies in coming to do something like this. Could you see how the camaraderie and the blend of people just happens so easily? I want to try to break that stigma that coming and doing group things like this is not scary, and how we curate programs to make it diverse for everyone to get the activities and experiences they want, but also meet the like-minded people that make this trip really as great as it can be.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, food brings people together, and on these trips there's always amazing food, and I think meal times is always so much fun, chatting about people's different lives, what they do outside of these kinds of trips. That brings people together. Working with kids, also you bond, you unite through the impact work that's going on. And then of course looking for animals is an incredible experience in itself, and a lot of people have shed tears, and I think it starts off as a group and you leave almost as a family, and I think that's it's really special to know that everyone came here with the common goal to want to make a difference and unite people, communities and wildlife together. And I think having different people from all different walks of life united behind a common goal means that without fail you're going to have a good time, and you're going to make friends that'll probably last a long time because of the experiences that you've shared together.
In closing, because I know we got to go, is there whether it's not a tagline or something that you stand by, is there something that you say commonly that kind of wraps it, and you can, and honestly, and like you, then you just, I'm going to keep it and you can walk out of frame?
I think there's lots of moving parts behind running a non-profit, and often it's easy to get caught up in it. And one of our themes for this year is every child matters. And the bottom line is you can teach 12,500 children in 11 countries from 100 different schools and organizations. But even if only one has their lives positively influenced by the work that we have done, that has to be a success, and that has to be enough. And hopefully everyone who joins these trips and is a part of the impact work we're doing understands that and buys into that and knows that their work is having a ripple far beyond what they'll ever be able to measure.